Before we begin, I want to give a gentle warning. In this video, we'll be discussing pregnancy loss, infertility, grief, and the healing process. These are deeply personal and emotional topics that may be difficult for some viewers. If you need to step away or watch at a time that feels right for you, please do. Take care of yourself and remember, you are not alone. We will get through this together with hope and healing. Hi, everybody. Today is March 4th, and I wanted to do something a little bit different. I've talked before about IVF, perinatal loss, late second trimester loss, and I just wanted to talk about my loss of Zachary today, because today, 25 years ago, that little tiny boy was born. And I wanted to share some of the things that helped me heal and how I continue on to this day, remembering him and keeping him a part of my life. So I wanted to talk also about what were the biggest questions that people had. And many of those questions over and over were asked. And maybe other people have those questions, or you've had a loss, or your family's experienced a loss, a niece, nephew, mom, dad, grandparent, and nobody has talked about it. I'll talk about it with you, and I'll go first. So starting with the question, and then I'm also going to include an annoying question. I'm also going to include an annoying comment, a comment that nobody wants to hear. So I want to also show you, this is going to be a little show and tell. I got this box, this beautiful ivory brocade box from a company called Memories Unlimited, shortly after I had him. And I have a friend there named Elizabeth, and this was a gift from her. I have not opened this for years, so I thought we could open that together. And as I talk about what has helped me heal, I'm going to show you the things that have helped me heal and the kindness from other people and how I've embraced it, even though people don't always say the right thing, even though people are embarrassed and don't have the courage maybe to say anything to you. I was always just appreciative that they tried. So let's get started. Number one question I got a lot was, when are you going to stop trying? Stop trying to have a baby. Isn't God talking to you? Are you not listening? You're risking your health. You're getting so old. I was 37 when I had Zachary, the child that passed away during my second trimester. I'm going to go over some labs with you. I'm going to tell you this is what happened. But question number one, always, when are you going to stop trying? And my answer, once I could get my composure from that always being asked of me, was, I'll know it when I know it. I'll decide when I'm done. I'm going to do IVF one more time, or I'm going to go to a different clinic this time, or I'm in charge of it, not you. So I'll know when I'm done trying. So that was one really annoying comment that I got a lot. And the other comment that I got was from my mother, and she meant well, but when I was losing the baby, she said, you need to have a positive attitude. It's your attitude. It will make a big difference. How do you know? It might turn things around. Straighten up your attitude. Okay, so I don't hold that against her. And like I said at the very beginning, I don't hold any comments against anybody. There's a couple things that are pretty annoying or that hurt you or get you to the core. But if people wanted to give me flowers or tulips because it was this time of year in March and the bulbs are out, I was grateful for that. Although other people don't want that. They don't want anything that can die. Plants can die, flowers can die, bulbs don't always come back. I was okay with that, but everybody is different, and I respect everybody's feelings on how they're getting through their grief. Let's go next right into, how did he die? How in the world did this happen? Well, I did do in vitro fertilization, and 2 embryos went in, 1 took, and it was him. It was rocky from the very start. There was a lot of spotting, there was a lot going on, and anybody who's done IVF or any kind of infertility knows that you're taking a lot of medication, you are doing a lot of ultrasounds, you have to be fully and 100% committed to this process and follow all the rules precisely right. Don't skip an injection. So yeah, I had a lot of medications, a lot of injections. You continue on, at least I did at that time years back, with the big thick progesterone and oil injections all the way up until 12 weeks. And you start it before you even do IVF. And so your sub-Q injections are winding down, your oral medication is starting up, and those injections keep on going. 1999, you know that song by Prince? every time I hear it, it brings me right back because I was celebrating 1999 going into 2000. My sister Carrie was here. Her son was here. My oldest son was here at that time, age 8, 9-ish, and my husband. And it was right before midnight, and I went into the bathroom and blood everywhere. Just no cramping, just blood. So we went off to labor and delivery at the Army Hospital. We didn't go to the ER. They had their own place up in labor and delivery. Got up there and said, you know, I'm around 20 weeks gestation now. Kind of hard to tell. I didn't say this to them, but when you do IVF, your embryos are not always the age. You have to really trust the measurements on ultrasound. Anyway, so they put me in a room and they checked everything, and there was lots of bleeding, and they said, we think this is the second embryo that, you know, but there's a heartbeat. We're going to talk to the reproductive endocrinologist and adjust your progesterone and estrogen and so forth. So that's what I did. Now, that was, like I said, January 1st. Happy New Year. February, March. And then I became very, very sick. What do I mean by sick? Like flu, body aches, high fever. It came on very quickly. In the evening, I turned over in bed and I felt all this pain in my shoulder and my joints. I took Tylenol, had a fever. I felt him moving still, but the next morning came. My husband went to work. He's active duty in the Army, but I knew something was wrong, and I had a different sensation, a very heavy falling movement with him. And my sister came to pick me up, and in the car was a box with a little outfit that she had got me for the baby shower, and it was a baseball outfit for him. And that went into his little casket with him. We didn't know, but we got there to labor and delivery, went up again to that exam room, and was told there's no heartbeat. Time goes on, I need to deliver him, and I'll just say that we'll go over some of the paperwork. Let's look at what happened. What in the world happened? At that time, they called it chorioamnionitis. They call it something different now, but the amniotic fluid was contaminated. It seemed to be group B strep. That's what it seemed to have been. And who will know? I just won't know for sure. But I continued to become more and more sick as time went on. So let's look at some paperwork. I got lots of boxes here that are very special to me, and they hold a lot of memories. This blue box here has, so Zachary was born in March. He died March 3rd. I gave birth to him at 4 in the morning on March 5th. That's kind of tricky. Like, what day do I celebrate? I celebrate both of them, but on his grave marker, it says March 3rd. Because that was the day that he passed away straight to heaven. All right, so then right after him, I did IVF again. And then we had Nathan, a rainbow baby, who was 2 pounds, 10 ounces. And he survived, although he was in the NICU for 3 months. Okay, let's read a couple things here. Postpartum, age 37 years old. Due date, 30 July 2000. Blood type, O positive, spontaneous vaginal delivery. Antibiotics, gentamicin, clindamycin. Delivery 4:21 a.m. Completed placenta at 9:23 a.m. So what happened during 4 a.m. and 9 a.m.? Well, abdominal pain, fever, placenta wouldn't come out. I didn't dilate anymore, regardless of everything they gave me. Cervix closed, had to go back for a D&C. Hemabate given at 06:15 in a bolus. Mrs. Palmer reported flu-like symptoms. At the time, she had a fever of 103 Fahrenheit and leukocytosis of 25. Evaluation of her loss was significant for chorioamnionitis and phoenicitis on histological placental exam, as well as heavy growth of group B strep on fetal culture. The remainder of her workup, to include autopsy, was unremarkable. No cells grew from the amniocentesis collection, which was really unfortunate because what it took to go through that right after you were told your baby died, now sit still. Following this loss, she was seen and counseled by Dr. Pierce and was advised as follows. Given her clinical presentation, the placental histology, her white blood count, and the fetal culture. The fetal loss may have been due to group B strep intraamniotic infection. We discussed group B strep infections, and the couple was made aware that 30% of all women may be carriers for GBS, and that antibiotic treatment will not eradicate carrier status. Intraamniotic infection with GBS, especially infection which results in fetal death, is an extremely rare event. I've talked about this sentence many times, haven't I? It's really rare. It's really rare. Everything is so rare, but then it happens. No guidelines are published by ACOG or the CDC for the management of future pregnancies complicated by this event. Labs, O positive, hematocrit 38.5, rubella immune, HIV negative, chlamydia negative. They were being very GC negative. They were being very thorough. So the ultrasound looked good before everything went to hell in a handbasket. Okay, fever, febrile, 103, white blood count 25,000, heart rate 150, rule out sepsis, intrauterine fetal demise, APGAR 00. Okay, let's go over one of the most annoying, I don't even have words for this. You guys tell me, this doesn't have to be a loss with a pregnancy. It can be with anything, but it's hard. It was so hard. All of this was so hard back then. And what took it away from me was everybody's comment who'd been through any kind of a loss had to express to me that they've been through the same thing. And we all know, and I think people have come a long way over the past 10, 15 years for sure, but at least back then, everybody's gone through this. You know, my mom's friend's friend from, my aunt went through this. Even my own aunt said, I went through this too. And I said, did you? Well, what, did you have a boy or girl? Well, I don't know. We didn't look at them back then. Did you give birth to a baby? No, I just had bleeding. It's just different. It's different. It doesn't mean it's better or worse. It's just a different kind of loss when it's a miscarriage in the first trimester, a loss in the second trimester, a loss in the third trimester, a neonatal loss. Every time it is very painful and very sad to endure this. And the last thing you want to hear is, yeah, I went through this exact thing too, because you didn't go through this exact thing. Everybody goes through something completely different. And it takes away from the mom. And I know back then in my 20s, I was, or even 30s, I had, Joshua when I was almost 28, but whatever people told me, I was not assured enough. I didn't have enough courage to stand up for myself back then. If they wanted to interrupt and tell me all about their IVF story, I was like, wow, yours is worse. Or if somebody said, I had a loss too, that exact same thing happened to me. Oh, my friend at work had that too, or whatever. I used to just give empathy immediately to that person and just say nothing about mine, because apparently I felt wrongly, but that my loss just really wasn't the center of attention, because the other person's friend's loss became paramount. So that is the thing that I would say I would love for people to stop doing. Is it's a delicate, slippery slope, because you also want to be there for that person and somehow let them know, I've been through something very similar to you. It's by no means the same, but I know what it feels like to give birth to a baby that died inside you. Not that many people know what that feels like. That's what happened to me. And how did I heal? Let me tell you what helped me heal. To this day, 25 years later, I still have friends from my support group, and I do talk about that. I'll put it up here somewhere, the other video. I have part 1 and 2. And there wasn't TikTok, there was nothing. We didn't even have our cell phones to take pictures of everything. We didn't have a huge support network. We didn't have social media. We had one place, and it was called the Miss Foundation. And this lady is a counselor now, but she wasn't at the time that she had her loss. And she is from Arizona, and she gave birth, Joanne Cacciatore, and she gave birth to a daughter, full-term, big, healthy, beautiful girl who died at birth for no reason. What happened? It just, that makes it all is a heavy load, but when you never get an answer, it's really difficult. I know for me, it was group B strep infection. Rule out sepsis for me, treated for sepsis for me, became very, very ill, and the baby died. That's my answer. Where there's some other factors I'll never know, but that's what my answer is. So Joanne started a support group called the Miss Foundation. She wrote a book, and she was the only person around that had any kind of a social media type website where we could go to. And then it was divided up into first trimester loss, full-term stillbirth babies, place for fathers, and so on. And there was an area for older, for infertility, secondary infertility, that kind of thing. And I met people there. And we supported each other so much all the way to where we are today, all these years later. That was one of the things that really helped me. Now there are so many things online and support groups at churches and support groups at hospitals. And later on, like 8 months after I lost Zachary and I was pregnant with Nathan, I did do a support group that was in person, closed, and extremely powerful, extremely healing. There were times I thought I would faint in that support group. It was so, have you ever been to something like that? Have you ever experienced that? I guess for some people it would be maybe the Holy Spirit. I don't know. It would be going to the Grand Canyon. It would be skiing on a mountain, where it's the sun's setting and it's gorgeous. There are so many things that might fill us up with a powerful feeling of healing and exhilaration. And that is what I got out of, I believe it was 12 weeks. And that was really profound and changed me. The other things that helped me were the gifts. The gifts meant everything to me. While I was in the hospital, getting my IV antibiotics and gave birth and all that went on with that, I didn't come home for quite a few days. And when I came home, I had a gift at my door. And one of my absolute best friends named Connie had the gift at the door. It was wrapped in a blue ribbon. And in the box was this blanket. Do you see it here? She had it embroidered, Zachary William, March 4th, 2000. Now remember that he died March 3rd. I gave birth to him on March 4th. I celebrate both days, celebrate his life both of those days. Well, celebrate his life every day, but you know what I mean. And this to me just meant everything, because she's acknowledging that I had a baby, that I am a mother to this child, and that he has a name. And this was what we had draped over his little tiny white casket at the funeral. And I would do a lot of that completely different. That might be another video. I would just do so many things different. First of all, I would have had him cremated and put his ashes into a tattoo. But I was advised not to do cremation with him. So again, I encourage people to do whatever makes them heal, whatever makes them feel good. You're the one that's carrying this. And also when you are at the hospital, whatever might touch your baby, you want that thing that touched your baby. You want the blanket. You want the little stuffy that maybe they took a picture of your child with. You want whatever has anything to do with your child. Don't be afraid to ask for it. Here's some other things that help me. Remember all these years later, and I'm still getting the most beautiful things. Let's see, can I make that, make that clear? Okay, this beautiful little crystal angel came from my oldest son, the one that lives in California that I talk about, and he gave me that for Christmas. Check this out. A friend of mine made this. These are his footprints. His original footprints are a bit bigger, but she made the footprints and put it on this. Here's something else that was given to me. Here's something else that I saw, and I got paint, and I painted this little boy angel with the blue wings just because I wanted to. When it comes to boxes, I got lots of boxes. I got boxes that have memories upon memories in them. How about this one? This came from a friend who made this. I ordered this. And she was in one of the online, I met her years later, online support groups. I just think it is so precious and sweet. And then my son's girlfriend, Liza, who lives in California, she had this made for me one year for Christmas. And I don't know if you can see this, but I'm going to take a picture so that you could see it the correct way. This is a beautiful bracelet. I have so many special things. I think this was 5, 6, 7 years ago, maybe. Oldest son got me this for Christmas. And my kids get me the most meaningful, beautiful things. They're just, I believe in angels. I love this. I think it's just beautiful, and it means the world to me. All right, let's move on to this one, guys. I've not opened this in years and years and years. All right, here we go. Remember, this came from Memories Unlimited, and I will list below all that I can. Okay, guys, I think that I transferred some things from that box into another one, but I'm going to show you what came in this Memories Unlimited box. This is a sachet. It's just so precious and so sweet. Okay, so my son that I lost was about 1 pound. This is it. wish this could be clear. In these boxes, you can put whatever you want. How about this? This is also in there. This is what I put in there. This piece of art. Whatever moves you. Also with Memories Unlimited, she created a beautiful blanket. And actually, how do I say this? She created the design. And anyway, here are the footprints with the butterflies. There's just so much. There's so much healing that goes on that just has helped me over the years. Last box. Have not looked in this one in years. There it is. There it is. This is what I was looking for, you guys. This was the blanket that Zachary was wrapped in. I want you to see. Again, don't judge a mama. Don't judge a lost mom or anybody who's gone through trauma. But I left the blood on there. I left it on there. And this was his blanket. He was wrapped first in a Chuck's. Okay. Then we got this blanket, and it is what it is. And it has stayed so precious to me. That shows you. This is all I have of him left. Floral and acknowledgement cards for Zachary from the funeral home. So in here, I have lots of cards and special little things. Why in the world do I have this? Oh, I see why I have this. You see that? It's his name. This was chocolate Easter eggs. And I did have little books. Whatever was a book that made me think of him, bought it, put it in here. This is all for him. When you have a loss at a hospital and you're in a hospital, not all hospitals have this, but they had a room. It was called the lavender room, and they take the family member, take them and say, please come pick out a box, or the mom can, but I couldn't. I was too sick in bed. Now, when I say I was sick, yeah, I can see why he passed away. It was completely febrile. Like I said, had a high white count. So, Connie, you're calling me. I'll call you back. I'll call you back. But I was completely incontinent of everything and vomiting, regardless of getting medication for vomiting, diarrhea, nausea. It was miserable. But all I could think of was I was so proud that I had this little boy. So when my husband was asked to come into the lavender room, he picked this out. And I remember how bad he felt because he couldn't find like a boy, represented boy box. But that just made this with the butterfly even more special. Wow. All right, I just took the lid off. So here's a framed picture of his feet. It's hard to see, isn't it? Here's my husband and I and our son at that time, like I said, age 9. That's at the funeral home. Here's a rock I had painted with a butterfly on it. I mean, you guys, I just have so many special, special memories. And here are the what do you call these? The snapshots, the Polaroid. There's the word. This is from a Polaroid at the hospital. And they didn't have a camera. I later donated that. I donated a lot to them for other mothers to not go through this. I mean, really, you give me these blurry pictures from a Polaroid camera. I can't even make his face out. The other thing I didn't like is the way that they positioned him. Why would you, why? It's an unnatural position, but I wasn't well enough to hold him. I wasn't well enough to wrap him myself. And in this picture, of course, you can see that the blanket. He's wrapped in this blanket. He's wrapped in a blue Chuck's, and he's in a little basket. What is this? I don't know. Oh, I know what this is. My niece's name is on the bottom. Her name is Natasha, and this was also in the box because Natasha wore this that day, and she was 10 years old, and she read this poem. She wrote it out, and she read it. Are we ready? I don't know that I am, but I'm glad you're all with me. This poem is called Weeping for Her Children. Lord, how could you let this happen? Her baby is dead. The child for whom she's been dreaming and planning. Breathless, still as a stone. Whatever am I supposed to say to her? Whatever are you doing, toying with her dreams, allowing life to take hold and then slip away so prematurely? What defense of you am I supposed to come up with? Is this what's called awful grace of God? Your daughter is weeping and will not be comforted. In quotes. Answer me quickly, O Lord, do not hide your face. Psalm 1:4-3-7. Well, I have not heard this and have not read this in 25 years. This day, I gave birth to him. And she decorated it. What do we say to people? What do we say to them when their heart is crushed and all their dreams are gone? And what do you say when it's cruel that the breast milk comes in and the infection sets in and you're never the same? Well, am I mad at God? That's another thing too that's really a common theme for people with a loss and many other things. But sticking with this topic, no, I'm not mad at God. I don't see this as God's fault, but maybe that's just because I work pediatrics and I see children who are suffering, and you do wonder what's going on. And that's where people think there's no God because of this. But I just don't have anger towards God. There are people that do, and that's okay. Everybody's feeling what they're feeling, and they have a right to feel what they want, what is coming up to the surface. For me, that didn't come up. Other things came up, but not that. More so, what came up was not acknowledging all of my feelings, because I had people on the daily saying that they have experienced the same thing as I did. But I wanted to explain my story. You know, I wanted to talk about him. I wanted to say, yeah, but mine's different. I almost died. He died. No, I'm not angry with God. I'm annoyed with some things, but I don't have anger. Okay, you guys, I don't know what else to say here. I'm just so grateful. I'm grateful that I had him. I feel incredibly grateful that I had him. That's what these 3 blue flowers are about. My 3 sons. First one, Zachary in the middle. Last one, Rainbow Baby, right? That's what we call them often. I call him my angel, but that offends a lot of people because they don't believe in angels, but that's okay. I have an area on my Christmas tree every single year that I put ornament my section of Zachary. I have a tree out front, a weeping cherry that I got when he passed away, that is now big and tall and huge, and it's been there all these years. This is a poem that is an American Indian proverb about what the world will look like once you have a child in it. So the world is going to do this and bow down for you, and the trees are going to be extra colorful, and the birds are going to sing, and all these other luscious things are in this poem. But the very last line says, for you, the snow will fall with flowers. So what it's talking about is life, when you have a child, doesn't go on the same. It goes on in technicolor, in glory, in beauty that you can't even describe. I love the snow. If you look at any of the artwork I have in my house upstairs and down, there's snow in almost every single one of them. And when the snow is falling for your child and your children, it's falling with flowers. Woo, this was kind of deep. Did you make it to the end? Maybe give me a little blue heart or some love. I appreciate each and every one of you. And for all those mamas out there and those daddies, hang in there. It's going to get better. I cried for 2 years. I did, but I kept on going because I had to, for my other dream, which was the next child, the rainbow baby. It didn't take away Zachary, but it gave me more to life and to love. But don't give up, and however you're feeling, embrace it. It's okay. I'll talk to you all in the next video.